Hi, my name is Josh Sweeney with Epic Culture, and welcome to the Culture Check video series. Today, we're here at DigitalCrafts to interview Jake and his team and learn about their amazing company culture. Well, Jake, thank you for having us here today. We really appreciate the time.
Glad to be here.
So, tell us a little bit more about yourself and DigitalCrafts.
So my name's Jake Hadden. I founded DigitalCrafts with a good friend of mine in 2015. We are the top-rated code school in Atlanta, and we're all about quality. So what we do in short is we provide a non-traditional educational path to people that want to transition their career from, you name it, whether it's accounting or they're a lawyer, into software engineering. So people come to our program, they quit their job, we train them for 4 months, and then we help place them in a tech company who needs that skill.
And my understanding is this non-traditional education path is really exploding. Can you tell us a little bit about that compared to the standard education of going in for a programming class or a 2-year degree?
Yeah, so over the last 6 years, the coding bootcamp industry has exploded across the U.S. There's about 98 different schools across the country. So it makes it very competitive, but it proves to us that there's a need. So it's been very exciting to see the industry grow and the companies mold and evolve to that. So we are excited. We come out with new offerings to stay competitive. We innovate on our class curriculum to stay ahead of the curve, but it's been very exciting.
Awesome. And a big part for us about staying competitive is the culture that you build in the company, right? So to stay competitive, you can build amazing company cultures with your employees, and you can also move that culture outward into the experience that the students have.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about what you feel encapsulates the culture of DigitalCrafts. Let's start off with for employees.
Yeah, so well, first off, you're definitely right that the culture has to be there for our team as well as our students' experience. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of different code schools, so to have a good student experience is very important. When it comes to the team, we are all about that rhythm, and I think that's what really ingrains our culture. So every week on Monday, we have an all-hands team meeting where not only our team here in Atlanta, but also our team in Houston, Texas, get together on a Google Hangout and go through the same agenda, which is really neat.
And how many people are you getting on that one Google Hangout?
So on the Google Hangouts, all our full-time employees, which is
Okay.
about 15
Okay.
people on our team. One thing that we've learned is as you grow, your culture grows with your company, but it's very important to set a strong foundation. So in that weekly team meeting, we do a few things. We do one section in the team meeting called Hack Staff. So that is where one of our admissions directors, who's tasked with leading culture for our company, has a question where we get to know other people on our team.
Okay.
So she may come into the meeting with a Hack Staff question of, tell me your dog's name, or something unrelated to the company. So we get to know people on our team on a personal level.
I love it. I love the idea of having a set of questions to help people build that bond. Before we get to the head of culture position, because I want to hear more about that, with the Google Hangout, are you all doing video or is it mostly audio? How do you do that?
So it's video, audio,
Okay.
And basically we are all in a room here in Atlanta, so about
Right.
8 to 10 people here, and 5 or 6 people in Houston, all in the same room.
Yeah, that's one thing I've seen about with video is I feel that there's just a better connection when everybody turns on their camera. You can really build the relationship with a client, with a team member, and I think it's part of what you have to convey as your expectation that everybody on the team is going to turn that camera on so that you can build that relationship over time. So it's really cool to hear that you guys are getting together with your other location and doing a full-size meeting with video.
Yep, and even more important than that, when you get the teams on the meeting via video and audio, it's also important to have each person contribute.
Okay.
So the meeting is set up in a way that the agenda allows for each team to contribute to the meeting. So people aren't just sitting there and listening and taking orders, they're more contributing to the company.
Right. So they're not taking a siesta, just listening. They have to contribute, and you're having this hack session where you get to ask them something about themselves that everybody gets to hear.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I love it. That's a great idea. With this, so you mentioned that you have a head of culture.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the title of the person? Is it a head of culture position, or is it a fractional position?
It's a fractional position for now. As we grow DigitalCrafts, of course, we'd always, we're keeping our eye on when it's the right time to bring in a head of culture. Culture is extremely important for now, but we can't afford necessarily a full-time position for that. So someone on our team stepped up and said, hey, I'm very interested in this. And we've let her take control and really given her the reins and a budget, which is really important. And she's really turned it into something.
Yeah, after multiple videos and discussions, we've really found that there's a trend where somebody on the team loves culture and really wants to take that into their position and own it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's great because you're really identifying somebody who's going to be successful with it. And that's just a trend we've heard across time. So it's interesting to hear that you guys have seen the same thing.
Right. And there's one big thing as a business owner you have to wrap your head around is you have to set aside a budget for culture to do team outings every quarter or to give gifts on birthdays. You think up front it might be a lot of money and a big investment, but in all actuality, it's really small for the return on investment that you do get.
Yeah, the cost of an employee to leave after all that training and onboarding, and if you use a recruiter, it goes up even more from there. So the cost to lose an employee probably far outweighs the cost of the culture, retention, fun things that get injected into the business.
Yeah, and just from an everyday enjoying your work, when there's a better culture, you walk in with a smile, and so does everyone else on your team. So that, to me, is the real return on investment that I see.
Yeah, I love it. So for this person that's head of culture, what are they tasked with? What kind of things do they inject into the environment? You mentioned the team meetings, the birthdays, asking some great questions on that weekly team meeting, the hack session. What else does she do within the organization that really contributes to that long-term satisfaction?
Yeah, so what does the head of culture on our team do really with her 25% of her time? It's exactly that. It's planning our weekly team meetings, making sure that the hack staff questions are ready to go so that we learn about the personal side of our business. And in addition to that, we plan quarterly outings. So this most recent quarter, we took our team out to a laser tag event. It was fantastic. And then just any other big event that might come up. So anytime there's a birthday on the team, we have cake, we have gifts. Anytime there's a big milestone, if an employee reaches the first year they're here at the company, it's her responsibility to make sure that we award that in the right way. So it's really just tying up all those loose ends that someone who's busy, working in the business may forget if it's not a priority.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a big undertaking to make sure all that happens in a timely manner and everybody enjoys themselves. So when we interview technology-oriented companies, we hear a lot of trends and very unique ways that people are injecting their culture with the offsite meetings, and each one has their unique spin on it. What do you see as the next evolution of company culture? What do you think is the next thing that people are really going to be utilizing to take the bar to the next level? Like if you just had to greenfield kind of.
So where do I think culture will be taken in the future? My personal opinion is it'll move away from gifts and shiny things. It's really cool to give unlimited PTO, which we do in our company. We bring lunch in every Monday. All these are nice things. But I think ultimately what people want is to feel responsible and be able to achieve those goals that they set for themselves. So I think it'll all be about accountability. So one thing that we do here is we use a project management tool internal to set goals every week, make sure our team's held accountable. It's transparent, so everyone on the team can see what other people are working on. They can congratulate other people. So I think it'll all be about accountability.
Okay. And with that comes recognition.
Correct, yeah. So recognition is one big important thing here at DigitalCrafts. We're trying a new kind of innovation pipeline. So every person on our team has the opportunity to submit a good idea. Hey, I think we can take DigitalCrafts to the next level if we implemented this. So that's something we do that's completely transparent to everyone at the company. That idea will get reviewed, approved, and then implemented. Yeah. And if it gets implemented, that employee gets rewarded for really taking our company to that next level.
Yeah. I've been part of organizations before where they had various contests and things where it was voted on and got implemented in the organization. And it felt amazing to me to win that, right?
Yeah.
So not only did you win it, but on top of that, it was something that got rolled in. And so I felt in those situations like I was taking a lot of ownership. You
Right.
always have that's my baby kind of scenario. So you want to go above and beyond in those situations. So I think fostering those situations of accountability and ownership in the environment are going to be an amazing task, an amazing goal for you and fun.
So we use this simple process called start, stop, continue to foster innovation and get feedback. So from our employees, hey, what should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we continue doing? So these are 3 buckets that our team can submit an idea in at any point in time, and then we meet and review it each week. So it's really quick. We also use that for all of our feedback. So start, stop, continue. What do we stop doing? What do we start doing? What should we continue doing?
Yeah, I love the themes and mnemonics and things that you're putting around all of your culture items and your cadences, right? So you have hack staff, you have start, stop, continue.
Correct. Yeah.
What are some other ones that you've themed that really gets that point across and lets people know that you've put some thought into this?
Yeah. So I think that might be more for the student experience. We've done a lot of kind of naming processes in terms of our customer experience, our students. So I'd love to share some of that with you.
Yeah, tell us about the student experience and really how they should feel and how they do feel coming into DigitalCrafts versus somebody else.
Yeah, so like I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, the coding bootcamp market is very competitive. We've built our brand on high quality. So we have very small class sizes, so our students get more one-on-one interaction with our lead instructor or our teaching assistants. So that's very important to the learning experience. Our class is about a month longer. So for the same price, a student gets about a month more of the education they might at another coding bootcamp.
That's significant.
So we've really built our brand around quality, which also leads into the kind of the culture or the student experience. So from the very beginning, when the student comes in, they are, wrapped in this kind of what we call builder of things. So at DigitalCrafts, everyone's a builder. And as our students go through our program, they become builder of things. It's kind of ingrained into our logo, which is a wrench, a digital wrench. So they're learning digital skills to build these digital products. And we've really harnessed that throughout the program.
Awesome. I think I saw that builder of things coming into the office space.
Yeah, so anytime someone gets a job before they graduate, we'll celebrate with champagne, which is great for all the students in the class to see. And we'll usually post something on social media with that hashtag builder of things, because they've kind of made that accomplishment.
Yeah, and I would guess, tell me, you feel like you're really changing people's lives for the better because they're coming in, they're going through this shift in their life, in their employment, in their future, right? There's all these shifts happening when you go to a 2-month boot camp to change your role.
Sure.
So how does that impact you and the staff that you're really changing somebody's life and they're getting a better job or moving on to the next stage?
Yeah, so it's the most rewarding part of our job is we get to take people in who have little to no coding experience and transform them over a 4-month program and let them go and build their career from there. Our goal is really to give them the foundation for a future employee to build on top of.
Okay.
And the stories that come out of our program are very neat. We have a very diverse program. I think 30% of all of our students are women, and they all come from different backgrounds. So we've had everything from a rice farmer in Japan who spent 20 years on a little island off the coast, moved back to the U.S. to take care of his parents, and then come to our program and land a job making $70,000. So it's stories like these that keep us, coming in every morning and keeps us, excited about what we do every day.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a compelling story. And then the 30% are women. I don't know the statistics, but it wouldn't seem like there's 30% of women graduating from a CS degree or anything like that. Is that the case, or I don't know the numbers in the educational
So I don't know the
industry,
specific numbers for the traditional education model. I do know they're putting more effort into diversity.
Yeah.
But in general, in the IT industry, there's a very low percentage of women.
Right.
But there's a lot of capable and very sharp women out there
Oh, yeah.
who want to make this career transition. So the coding bootcamp industry has been great for that. in general, across the 98 schools I mentioned, the average is around 30% of all of the graduates are women, which is great to see in this day.
Yeah, definitely. So is there anything else that we haven't covered that you would like to share?
So let's see. The only other thing that comes to mind that we hadn't talked about today that I think is really important to our culture are our core values.
Okay.
And I won't take up the whole video with our core values, but there are really two that I want to point out. One is called mop the floors. So this is something that Max and I have ingrained from the beginning, and I think that comes from running a startup, bootstrapping it with your own money, is that no matter what your role is within the organization, if there's a job that needs to get done, step up to the plate and do it. So if there's trash on the floor, doesn't matter who you are, pick it up. Kind of falls in line with mop the floor core value. And then the other would be employees first. And we actually call that work happy because we just don't want our customers to see employees first on our website. But we call it work happy, and work happy means we are in such a consumer-driven business that it's extremely important for us to give our students and our customers a great experience, but to know that our team's, very important as well.
Right.
So it's important for our teammates and employees to have their back when needed if there is an issue that comes up.
Yeah, definitely. And I would think that it has a big impact with your trainers, right? They're training large groups of people. So happy trainers, come across during the training sessions and during the courses. And, that it gets injected into that experience for the students. So, when you really look at making sure that trainer is satisfied and, happy with that position, I think it rolls down. Whereas the opposite may not necessarily have the effect. If you go to a company that's maybe customers first, it may not necessarily roll the opposite direction. And you guys are unique in that you are training and you're passing along those ideals and that feeling because you're spending so much time with people.
Yeah, it's very important for us to communicate that our students and customers are top priority, but our team is also top priority. So we want to make sure that everyone on our team understands that from day one, and that if you aren't part of the team, then you're probably not a good fit.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for having us. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here anytime.
Zakia, it's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, thanks for making time for this interview. So you are, tell us a little bit about your position, because I was going to say you're the head of culture, but that's a portion of your time.
Exactly.
So tell us about your position here at DigitalCrafts.
Yeah, so I've been at DigitalCrafts for a little less than a year. It'll be a year, I believe, next week, which I'm super excited about. And this being a startup, we really have multiple roles. So I guess my main role is admissions director in the Atlanta campus. So any incoming students or prospective students that want to come to the program, it's kind of my job to tell them about the program, the different things that we do here, and kind of get them enrolled, really, kind of that whole process from beginning to end. But aside from that, when it comes to DigitalCrafts employees and things, I do kind of head a lot of the company culture things. So parties, events, just kind of recognizing employees when they do a good job and kind of bridging the gap between the everyday day-to-day tasks and the fun things, and kind of just getting together and doing socializing events. I kind of bridge the gap there.
So let's start with let's start with the student portion. So since that is a majority of your time, when you're giving students a tour or speaking with them, how do you feel that you inject the DigitalCrafts culture into that experience?
Definitely, that's a good question. So when it comes to telling students about the DigitalCrafts experience and kind of getting them an idea or even giving them a glimpse of it, I definitely think it starts with the tour. Being here at the Atlanta Tech Village, this is definitely a very unique space. For people who have never been here, walking into it, it's like, wow, this is very cool. It's very trendy. It's very unique and modern. And it's collaborative too as well. I definitely want to mention that. So I like to show them all the different amenities, not only in this building, which really helps our culture at DigitalCrafts specifically, but also it kind of helps us continue to make sure that everyone is learning and collaborative and kind of just able to work hard, play hard, if that helps. Kind of make, I guess that's the only best way I can think of to say it.
Okay.
So showing them everything and then showing them our classrooms. A lot of times too, if students want to meet an instructor, or even if they don't suggest it, I'll say, hey, look, this is an instructor that you might be having for this cohort or this class that you're trying to get into. Would you like to meet them? I think that definitely helps show them the culture that we have here, that it's not, hey, the instructor is this, know-all, be-all person, and that you're just, the student. It's like, no, they're definitely approachable and they're nice and you can talk to them about anything. Like, it's not just code all the time. We go to lunch with our students frequently, or we bring in donuts if it's donut day, or stuff like that, just to have that fun collaborative environment. And that starts to, like I said, at the interview portion, when we just want to get to know them and we ask them questions not only about what their experience is prior to coming to our program, but what other passions and things you have outside of coding. Do you like to golf on the weekends? Are you a hiker? Do you exercise and do marathons? And just getting to know them on a personal level, I think definitely makes our program a little bit different than some other programs, and really starts the culture of our company at that beginning point.
I love it. So one of the things you mentioned in there was the space. So you're at Atlanta Tech Village. I'm very familiar with Atlanta Tech Village, love the space. And I think it is a unique thing to point out when people want to walk you through their space in their office, and they're very proud of it, because there's lots of spaces you can go. And I'm sure there's some coding boot camps that have probably been around for years where you walk into the office and you just don't get that vibe. You don't get the vibe that you want, or the tech isn't there, or whatever it might be. So I think bringing that element of space is a big portion of what you're doing.
Absolutely. And even just walking them around and showing them, like, there's over 300 companies in this building, that some people are like, whoa, that's a lot. And I'm like, well, yeah. So there's so many different collaborative environments. Like, you could literally walk in the kitchen on any given day and be with a CTO or a CEO of a company, or a developer, or someone that's, a manager, account manager of some sort. But there's just so many ways to meet other people and work together. And again, like you said, in this space, there's a fitness center on the club level. They've got a little gaming area. They've got a virtual reality headset. We've got a killer rooftop. Just all these fun little amenities to help make this whole environment, not only for our company, but all the other companies as well, collaborative, so we can all get to know each other and work together.
Yeah, and we started off with the students, right? And that vibe and how the space helps them. But you just listed off a whole ton of items that are great for employees, right?
Absolutely.
So the rooftop, I know ATV throws great rooftop parties. Your team has access to it. The snack area, just the natural collaboration of meeting other people. So those are lots of things, lots of perks that you get just by the space that DigitalCrafts has chosen.
Absolutely. And it's really fun. And unfortunately for me, I haven't been able to enjoy a lot of the spaces like I wanted to, but a lot of the other employees have. And yoga classes, awesome. Like, even something as simple as like free beer on tap. It's not uncommon for us to say, it's Friday afternoon, we've gone to the Chow Down, which is a lunch that ATV actually provides for the entire building to have a collaborative environment, eat lunch together on Fridays for free, catered from all different companies and different restaurants in the area. And it's just nice to be able to grab a plate of food, and it's kind of like cafeteria style, where you sit at a table and you can sit with your people you work with every day. You can sit with students, or you can sit with someone you don't know, which is really nice, and kind of understand what their company is about or what they do, and kind of just enjoy each other, which is really nice. And again, I think that's something unique to DigitalCrafts, that we have the access to do something like this, but also the Atlanta Tech Village, which is nice.
Yeah, I love it. So when it comes to the company culture for employees, what things didn't exist before you started spending time in this role, or a percentage of your time in the head of culture? Is that what you call it?
Yes.
So before you were the head of culture, what wasn't here, and what do you feel like you've really brought to the team from a cultural perspective when it comes to retention and enjoyment in the roles?
Well, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what was or wasn't here, right?
Okay.
So I'm sure they had tons of things that they tried to do, but again, the team was a lot smaller before I got here. I want to say when I was hired about a year ago, or even around that same time, they brought on about another 4 to 5 employees, really within that same couple time frame. So the team grew exponentially very quickly, and so it was like, how do we find a way for all the newbies to kind of get to know each other, but then all of the existing employees to also get to know us as well, and for us all to kind of start together on this journey. So coming from being the newbie on the team as well, I thought, well, how do I get to know my current employees and my coworkers without being overly invasive, but then also still getting our work done? And so they had what they called, I believe, round robin, I believe it was. They called it round robin. Okay. And so playing around with the name, sometimes we still call it round robin, but what they would do is they would have their morning meetings on Mondays, provide lunch to everybody, of course, and for that hour, they would, of course, give company updates, any changes and things that was going on in the company, and then they have one question that everyone would have to answer. And so very quickly I learned that that was a great approach. I loved it. And I got to learn a lot about the employees that were in the company. But what you'd find is that people would ask or answer the question the same way as the previous person.
Wow.
And so it stopped being, or in my opinion, or even our co-founder's opinion, it stopped being more individualized, and it turned into, well, you're only going to say what the person before you said because you just think that's the right answer, or you maybe didn't give it much thought. And so I thought, well, what's a way to get to know people on an individual level, but ask them specific questions and give them a way to have a voice and kind of, be heard and get to know each other. So I thought, okay, instead of asking everyone the same question, let's ask someone a personal question. Let's ask you a direct question. And that's your question. That's no one else's question, right? And so now you have to really think about it. And hopefully, if you're comfortable enough, which we try to make this environment very comfortable for everybody, where you feel comfortable sharing that information. So, for example, we may ask you to tell us 2 truths and a lie about yourself, right? So now it's engaging. We get to know about you. It's kind of fun. And so we do that a lot too with our new employees, existing employees, and just all the time. And so, like I said, I use the internet every Monday. I'm like Googling different things. Right. Like what online can I ask them, or if you won $1 million, right, what's the first thing you do? Or do you have any phobias or anything like that? Right. Just random things that you may not think to even ask, but over time, if you're here long enough, which a lot of our employees are here for a really long time, they love working here, you find out so much about someone. It's like, man, when it's their birthday or if it's their anniversary, it's like, okay, well, I know this person doesn't like this. Their favorite color is this. They like doing this in their spare time. The perfect gift is obviously this, And so it makes it so much easier. And so that's something that I started doing that I think that they all really appreciate and they like. And again, each week it's not the same person. It's different people on the team. And so sometimes depending on how tough the question is or something like that, I'll try to send it to them ahead of time so they can get some time to think about it. And they're not on the spot, because that can be totally not fair. And it's a little bit alarming and nervous for some people. But so I try to do that. And that's one thing that I've started doing that I think people really appreciate. Something else that we do that they were doing previously before me, but we've kind of changed a little bit, was start, stop, continue. And so the idea was submit a question or propose something that you either want the company to stop, start, or continue doing. And this can be anything, right? So we don't limit on what we want people to submit. And I think before the way they did it was, I'm not sure if it was like an email version or something like that, but now we definitely have it more of an attract system and an Asana task. And so it's like you can submit that, and what we do is each week, myself and our co-founder Jake Hadden, we go through and we look at all the different submissions, and we say, okay, so maybe someone said, hey, look, we should stop sending students emails at this certain time because it's just not effective. They're not reading it. They're not responsive. Yeah. Let's start doing something different. And so one, it gives that employee a voice, right, that they may not have had before. And it's something they can actually type out, and you can really think about it. You can be as in-depth as you want to. You can really put a lot of effort and thought into it. And not even that, you're heard, right? So every week, I'm absolutely every Friday going to read that. I'm absolutely every Friday going to work with Jake and even Max in some cases, our other co-founder, to go through that information. And so you're being heard, we're actually taking your thoughts into consideration, and then we're giving you feedback. So if there's something where we're like, I never thought of that, or if it's something that we thought about before, we'll tell you about it. We'll respond to you right then and there, or we'll ask you for more information or to clarify, or whatever that case may be. And if we get to a point where we're like, this is a really great idea, why didn't we think of this? Let's implement it. We'll move it to the next phase and say, okay, try it out. Would you like to take ownership of this, or would you like to work with someone else? So that way it's not all on you. It's, again, collaborative, where we're making community, we're making sure that we stick to our values here that we have. And that way, again, people can kind of see progress, right? Real progress that they came up with. How great is that? So we definitely do a lot of that. And so far it's been working really well. We've implemented a lot of great things, not only for the employees, but also for our students that come out of that program.
Yeah, I love the start, stop, continue, but also the extra step around the feedback loop, right? There's so many companies out there that ask for information, they gather it all up, and you feel like it goes into the bottomless pit, right? You don't get feedback, it never happens. And I think what that reinforces in those companies is basically reinforces just stop submitting things because you're not getting any feedback. Whereas with your process, you're part of that feedback loop. So you're at least getting some sort of acknowledgement and information back on that start, stop, continue type of situation. So I love the process around that.
Oh yeah, me too. And I think that all our employees appreciate it as well. And everything is not going to be something that we can actually implement, but if we can't do it, then we definitely let them know, like, hey, look, this is why we can't do it, right? It's not like you said, it's not like you're just putting something out there and we're ignoring it or something like that. No, absolutely not. Like, you're gonna hear from us. We're gonna say, hey, we can't do it and this is why we're not doing it. Or, hey, we love this. We just can't do it right now because we have so many other projects and things going on. And we're a small team, right? We can't do everything. So let's park it. We have a little section that's called park. It's like, hey, we're gonna do it. We're just not gonna do it today. We'll follow up in a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two. And then maybe at that time, if we don't have so many projects and things going on, we can definitely implement it, and we'd love you to help out on that when the time is right.
Yeah, I think that would contribute to what I would call teachable moments, right? A lot of people see the issues, right? They're on the front lines and they see all of these challenges in the small environment and with a smaller team, and they think that it can just happen now. Right. And so that creates a teachable moment to say, well, it can happen and we acknowledge that it needs to be done, but here's where it falls in the list of priorities. Right. And, please continue submitting because something else you may bring up may be a quick fix. It may be easy, and we want to make sure we're getting to those.
That's so perfect, and I'm so happy that you said that. A lot of times as well, you'll find that since we have two campuses, we have one here in Atlanta and we also have one in Houston. And so to get the instructors to work together has been great. And this Start, Stop, Continue has been a great way to do that, because a lot of times you'll have one instructor maybe in Atlanta that'll say, hey, can we start this in the curriculum? Can we do this? Or maybe let's make a video about this. And then you'll have someone in Houston that submits something very similar, and I'll tag them both on it to say, hey, did you know that Chris submitted this too? Or hey, Azam, so-and-so thought this was a great idea. Let's work together. And so I'll tag them both on that. And then next thing you know, they're collaborating on something. And they're in two different campuses, they're emailing each other, they're having conversations over the phone. But it's a way, again, to bridge the gap between our teams and make this company more unified. And again, everyone's voice is heard. So I think that's another great thing that we do. And I just love that everyone, again, can be heard and work together, and it's very collaborative.
Yeah, you can tell that there's a strong level of commitment to that process, right? So not only the reviewing and the feedback loop, the teachable moments, but seeing that they're similar in a similar vein and bringing those people together. That's a big commitment. I'm sure it takes a lot of time, but the value that you get back, I'm sure, is astronomical.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times too, we have different values, core values that the company kind of upholds. And so each quarter, what I'll try to do is kind of highlight one of those. So for Q2, it was work happy. And work happy is all about employees engaging with one another. We're very customer service focused and we put the students first, absolutely, but we can't forget about each other, right? Yeah. So work happy is, hey, if you're working on something or you're finished with your task for the day and you've got some free time, help the next person if they're struggling or they've got a heavier workload that day, or if they're working on something that you can assist with or that you've already working on a little piece on too. Work together, work happy, help them out. It doesn't take but 5 minutes to say, hey, so-and-so, I've got a free moment. Do you need help with that? And it makes everybody happier. It makes everything go smoother here. And so we really uphold that as well. Just kind of our core values and making sure we take care of each other as well as our clients or our students.
I'm hearing a strong theme of collaboration, so that's great to hear. Is there anything else about the culture that you feel you'd want to share?
Yes.
Okay.
So we like to have different events outside of work, and that's something too that we like to do at least once a quarter. And so they've given me like a little budget, which I love, and I'm like, that is so awesome, because how many companies do that, right? Especially getting a startup phase where there's not that much to go around. But each year they give us a little bit of a budget, and so we're able to plan events totally outside of DigitalCrafts. So there may be a happy hour where we all get together to go to a bar and play board games and literally just enjoy each other's company for an hour or two after work. Or there may be an instance where we go to escape room, or we did a laser tag. Yeah. It was so amazing. We broke up into teams. You're just going in there, you're just shooting these things around, and you're just collecting points, and it's just amazing. And then sometimes too, we'll invite spouses, and so you can meet them, and families, friends. Some of our staff have children, and so we do all these fun little events, not only again to celebrate you as an individual at our company and say thank you for coming and working with us, because you could work for another company, right? You don't have to work here, but also to say, hey, bring your family. You know, we want to meet your kids, we want to meet your wives, your husband, whoever's in your life. You know, because that's important to us too. Because guess what? They're important to you, so that's important to us. And so to have these events where we can have these fun Christmas parties or happy hours, or even we're planning to go to a lake house very soon and just have a barbecue and hang out. Like, that'd be so much fun, and hopefully rent a boat and just have some fun times like that there, where you can invite your kids and invite your spouses and hopefully even have your pets if you want to, just to have a good day. It's like, it's wonderful. And again, I love that we're able to do that and take that time away, but then also that they've allowed us to have the funds to do so. Because again, a lot of companies don't put that much effort into it.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you sharing all of this.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to hearing how this progresses over the next year with you at the helm of culture. I'm sure it's going to be epic. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time as well.